So it looked like JuJu Watkins' Nike deal, from what I'm hearing, it's worth way more than Caitlin's.
Nike just dropped a $30 million bombshell that sent shockwaves through the sports world, but the player at the center of it wasn't the one anyone expected. While Caitlin Clark, the undisputed face of women's basketball, was left waiting, Nike reportedly handed a historic deal to college star JuJu Watkins. The move has fans furious, and it exposes a dark truth about how deals are really made behind closed doors.
Boots on the ground, people behind the scenes is letting it be known that JuJu Watkins has landed a major damn payday from Nike.
Before this chaos erupted, Caitlin Clark was doing the impossible. She was turning college basketball games into Super Bowl level events, smashing viewership records that put the NBA to shame, and single-handedly dragging the WNBA into the national spotlight. Her arrival wasn't just a success, it was a revolution, with ticket prices soaring and arenas selling out wherever she went. But while she was changing the game on the court, a secret deal was being made that would change everything.
When it comes to Rich Paul, he's a juggernaut. Now, he's going to make sure his players get special whistles. He's going to make sure they get the most money. And he's definitely going to make sure they remain popping, bro. So me personally, I believe, from what I'm hearing, that JuJu Watkins has landed upwards of $30+ million from Nike for a major shoe deal.
Suddenly, a new name entered the conversation: JuJu Watkins. A phenomenal talent at USC, no doubt, but her biggest asset wasn't her jump shot, it was her agent. JuJu is represented by Clutch Sports, the empire run by Rich Paul and LeBron James. This isn't just an agency, it's a machine designed to create superstars, and they were about to show the world just how powerful they really are.
I was listening to Rich Paul say it was the biggest shoe deal since Zion. That's crazy. Have you done anything? Have you splashed out with any of the money?
No. I try to be very smart, but yeah, just super grateful for the opportunity.
When Caitlin Clark first signed her Nike deal, the reported $28 million figure sounded groundbreaking. It was hailed as the biggest deal in women's basketball history. But just as fans were celebrating, news of JuJu Watkins' deal leaked. Whispers of a $30 million contract began to circulate, instantly making Caitlin's historic deal feel like yesterday's news. The message from Nike felt clear: we have a new favorite.
Does your shoe deal prove that women's sport is every bit as popular as men's sport these days?
I don't know. I don't think that's really up to me to answer, but like I said, just super grateful for everything, and the women's game is definitely headed in the right direction.
What truly infuriated fans wasn't just the money, it was the blatant lack of support for Caitlin. Months into her pro career, the question on everyone's mind was, where are her signature shoes? Where are the massive ad campaign? The legendary Chosen One treatment that Nike gave to rookies like LeBron James was nowhere to be found for Clark. It was as if Nike signed her just to keep her away from competitors, then left her on the shelf.
JuJu Watkins just signed a multi-year contract extension with Nike that'll give her one of the richest shoe endorsement deals in women's basketball. Nike officials finished discussions today on the deal, with negotiations led by Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul and Watkins' team. JuJu originally signed with Nike as a high school senior back in October 2022, and now coming off a season after becoming the all-time leading scorer among freshmen in NCAA Division I basketball history, she continues to make history by securing one of the richest endorsement deals for a female athlete.
The signature shoe isn't just a product, it's a coronation. For an athlete, getting your own shoe from Nike is the ultimate validation. It means the brand sees you not just as a player, but as a cultural icon who can move millions of dollars in merchandise. Michael Jordan's Air Jordans built an empire. LeBron James had his first shoe ready before he played a single NBA minute. But for Caitlin Clark, the player driving more interest than anyone in decades, Nike delivered only silent. This delay wasn't just a marketing misstep, it was seen as a profound act of disrespect. The difference became painfully obvious when insiders started comparing JuJu's deal to Zion Williamson's. Zion got a staggering $75 million from Jordan Brand before ever playing an NBA game, all thanks to the hype machine behind him. Now Rich Paul was putting JuJu in that same conversation, revealing that Clutch Sports doesn't just negotiate contracts, they manufacture legends and demand legendary money for them, whether they've earned it on the pro stage or not. This exposed the brutal difference between agencies. Caitlyn went with a more traditional route, likely assuming her on-court dominance would speak for itself, but Clutch plays a different game. They use their media connections and immense leverage to force Brand's hand. While Caitlyn's reps were likely playing nice, Rich Paul was banging on the door and Nike answered with a mountain of cash. It was a masterclass in power broking that left Clark looking like she brought a knife to a gunfight. What Nike and Clutch didn't count on was the power of the people. Their carefully crafted PR leak, meant to crown JuJu as the new queen, backfired spectacularly. Fans immediately saw through the corporate maneuvering. Social media became a war room where the narrative was hijacked. Instead of celebrating JuJu, the conversation became about Nike's betrayal of Caitlyn. Every podcast, every sports show, and every comment section was filled with outrage, turning Nike's intended marketing win into a public relations nightmare. This Nike drama couldn't have come at a worse time for the WNBA, a league already drowning in controversy. From the relentless on-court targeting of Caitlin Clark to public feuds between players, the league felt like it was on fire. And then Nike showed up with a giant can of gasoline, essentially telling the world that the player bringing in all the new fans isn't their top priority, validating the very players who seem to resent her success. Nike had a golden opportunity to own the sports world during Caitlyn's WNBA debut and completely fumbled it. Millions were tuned in, the arena was electric, and the media couldn't stop talking about her. That was the moment to drop her signature shoe and launch a global campaign. Instead, they did nothing. They let the single biggest marketing moment in modern women's sports history pass by without so much as a commercial. It was corporate malpractice on a historic scale. The truth is, this was never about who was the better or more impactful player right now. This was about corporate politics. The alliance between Nike, LeBron James, and Clutch Sports is one of the most powerful forces in the industry. By giving JuJu a landmark deal, Nike wasn't just investing in a player, they were appeasing their most important partners. It was a move made in a boardroom, completely disconnected from the reality fans were seeing on the court. What Nike seems to be ignoring is that Caitlin Clark isn't just an athlete, she's a cultural phenomenon. She attracts fans who never cared about women's basketball before. The moms, the dads, the young kids holding homemade signs. This kind of crossover appeal is priceless for a brand, yet Nike is acting like it's worthless, pushing aside a sure thing for a prospect with powerful connections. She moves culture and culture moves product. It's the most basic rule of marketing, and Nike forgot it. The backlash was instant and brutal. Social media erupted with fans telling Caitlyn to leave Nike. The hashtag #MutCaitlynGo started gaining traction, with people begging brands like Adidas, Under Armour, or Puma to step in and rescue her. Fans felt betrayed, arguing that Nike didn't deserve the player who was single-handedly growing the sport they claimed to support. This wasn't just criticism, it was a call to action. And you have to believe other brands are listening. Imagine the headlines if Under Armour, the brand that built its basketball division on the back of an overlooked underdog named Steph Curry, swooped in and signed Caitlin Clark. The story writes itself. The hero cast aside by the evil empire finds a new home and builds a new dynasty. It would be a marketing coup of epic proportions, a story of redemption that would sell millions of shoes and permanently damage Nike's reputation in women's sports. This move looks even worse when you consider Nike's own problems. The company's stock has been struggling, and they've been losing ground to newer, faster-moving competitors. At a time when they desperately need a win, they chose to alienate the most passionate and engaged fan base in the WNBA. It's a baffling business decision that prioritizes backroom politics over actual sales and shareholder value. The financial fallout could be devastating. The demand for Caitlin Clark's jersey has already shattered records. A signature shoe would have been an instant bestseller, potentially generating hundreds of millions in revenue over the life of the deal. By delaying her shoe and alienating her fans, Nike isn't just missing out on sales, they're actively pushing customers toward their competitors. It's a self-inflicted wound that could fester for years. While fans are angry at Nike, this situation also puts an immense and unfair burden on JuJu Watkins. She is now positioned as the player who was chosen over Caitlin Clark. Every mistake, every bad game, and every stumble will be magnified and compared to Clark's success. Nike didn't just give her a big contract, they painted a giant target on her back, forcing her to live up to a narrative she never asked for. But here's the most ironic twist. This entire controversy has only made Caitlin Clark stronger. By allowing her to be portrayed as an underdog fighting against the establishment, Nike has galvanized her fan base. Her supporters are more loyal than ever, and rival brands are now salivating at the chance to sign her. Nike's attempt to sideline her may have been the best thing that ever happened to her brand. This whole ordeal reinforces a dark narrative that has been brewing all season, that the WNBA and its partners are actively trying to hold Caitlin Clark back. We saw it with the absurd all-star voting, where veteran players ranked her 9th out of jealousy. Now with Nike's move, it feels like a coordinated effort to undermine the league's biggest star. The on-court behavior has been even more telling. Veterans have treated her arrival not as a blessing for the league, but as a threat to their own relevance. The hard fouls, the off-court trash talk, and the dismissive comments all point to a widespread conspiracy of jealousy. Instead of welcoming the player who is making them all more money, they are trying to push her out. Nike's decision feels like a corporate endorsement of this petty and destructive behavior. It forces you to ask a terrifying question: does the WNBA even want to succeed? They finally have a transcendent star who is breaking down barriers and bringing in millions of new fans and dollars. And yet, at every turn, the league and its corporate partners seem determined to sabotage her. It's a level of self-destruction that is almost impossible to comprehend in modern professional sports. When you strip away the corporate speak and the marketing spin, this all comes down to one thing: jealousy. Jealousy from other players who resent her spotlight, jealousy from agents who don't represent her, and now jealousy from a brand that seems angry it can't fully control the narrative around its own star. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the only explanation that makes sense. So, in the end, Nike made its choice. They bet on connections over proven results. The WNBA continues to look petty and disorganized, but Caitlin Clark, the one who was supposedly snubbed, has come out of this fire with more power, a more dedicated fan base, and a story that makes her an even bigger hero. Funny how trying to bury a star can just make them shine brighter.